Well, since we're all here, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Marilyn Wills, and I'm the co-president of the League of Women Voters of Tyler Smith County. And with us today, we have LaRhonda. She's LaRhonda Hamilton. She's the vice president of community relations for the League. And we have Dee Pendleton. Dee is a leader with Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and she's a friend of the League. And as you probably know, we're continuing a series called Coffee with Elected Officials. And today we're welcoming Aaron Martinez, and he's the vice president of the Tyler Independent School District. And welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I think you probably know that we're a nonpartisan organization. And part of our mission is obviously to get people registered to vote and out to the polls. But an even bigger part, I think, is to educate them about how their government functions and who their leaders are, get to know their leaders and what they're doing. And so we started this series last year. And we've interviewed Tyler Mayor Don Warren and all the city council members. And then a couple weeks ago, we interviewed Tyler Independent School District President Wade Washman. So you're next on our list as the vice president.
Great.
So thank you for being here again. And let's start with you telling us just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump in with some questions.
Yeah, sure. I was elected in 2015. I work at Christus Trinity Mother Francis. I manage everything outdoors over there for them. I'm involved with the board of directors at the Hospice of East Texas, Leadership Tyler. So those are two organizations that are close to my heart, as well as the East Texas Food Bank and Tyler Young Life. I've been involved with those organizations for a while too. So yeah, I have two boys in schools, and I'm committed and proud to be involved with the Tyler ISD board and everything that public schools do here in Tyler, and yeah, happy to be here.
And you said you've been here or on the board since 2015.
That's correct.
Right?
Yes.
So let me ask you a question that's pretty relevant right now. Can you share information about the unique magnet or select schools in the district, including the early college high school, that are included on the Springs bond election ballot?
Sure. So as one of our priorities with the board, we understand that parents have options. Parents have choices with where they can send their kids to school. Obviously, we think Tyler ISD is the place to be, and so we want to keep our families with Tyler ISD. So as part of that program, we've developed some choice. We call them boutique schools, right? And so we have Caldwell, which is an arts academy. You have to apply to get in. It's a pure magnet. You have to audition to get in, and you can take a variety of arts classes there: dance, music. We have a digital arts program there, musical theater. I mean, they honestly have everything. There's a drum line, orchestra. It's a really great campus. If you haven't been there, I have a son that goes there and he loves it. We also have a bilingual Spanish immersion program at Birdwell, which is now a K-8 program also, where we have English speakers going to school next to Spanish speakers, and they're all speaking both languages, intermingling both languages. It's another really great program. And then we have obviously early college high school is another one. That's a program where you can, as a high school student, it's another one that you have to apply to get in. The coursework is extremely rigorous. But when you graduate from high school, you also receive an associate's degree from Tyler Junior College. They're our partners. and the students there take classes at TJC, and they take high school classes at the same time. And in fact, they actually receive their associates but right before they get their high school diploma because of the way the graduations work out. But there's no cost to them. It's it's designed to try and help some families that may have some challenges, whether it's financial or otherwise, in having their kids receive college credit. So it's been an amazingly successful program. They're becoming it's becoming a ranked program. It's ranked in the state. It's ranked nationally. The kids there are focused and determined to get with their associates, and I can't say enough really good things about it. We're adding associates pathways all the time. I know that they just added some arts associates, trying to entice some of those Caldwell kids to look at that option as well. So yeah. And then we have Moore, which is another middle school, and that's a STEM magnet, which is science and math, engineering magnet school. And same. Now Moore does have an attendance zone, so they do have kids that attend that are zoned to that school, but they also you can also apply to get into that STEM program. So that's another one.
So how does the bond money impact all of that?
Yeah, so bond, the bond money is kind of strictly facilities. We have a bond going to the voters in May. This is kind of the culmination of a 20-year bond project to redo and improve some facilities in Tyler ISD. So this is kind of the last of it. Hubbard kind of felt like they got skipped last time, and so we're trying to make it right with them, and get those kids that are over there in something comparable to all the other facilities we have. And then early college, right now they're sharing space with another program called Rise, and it doesn't make much sense to have those two programs together, and it kind of makes sense to be more with the CTC programming. And so when we built the CTC center, there was some infrastructure that was prepped for additional expansion later, and so it's financially a good thing for us to move that program over there next to the CTC, and so that is essentially just gives them a bigger and better facility so they can have the opportunity to grow that high school program.
Okay. All right, LaRhonda.
I just want to say, I think the early college program is great. I teach criminal justice at TJC, and I have a lot of early college and dual credit students. There's something I wish was around when I was going through high school.
Oh my gosh, me too.
So my question is, what mechanism does the district have in place or plan to put in place to encourage students from varied backgrounds and different schools to interact? We know there was recently a district-wide middle school dance, and I'm wondering if more of those things like this are on the horizon.
Yeah, that's kind of something that the campuses kind of have to decide for themselves. We don't really discuss that at our level, like what would it look like as a high school open dance or that kind of thing. It's kind of at the local level or at the campus level, and they I think it worked out really great. They had the opportunity to invite some friends that they've particularly with the magnet school, they have friends that they play sports with or go to different things with that are outside of their campus, especially when it's a little small campus. And so having the opportunity to invite some kids, that attend different schools was a really great thing. The other thing is, there are at least for them, they had a really great mechanism in place for, you know, making sure that they knew who was coming and who was going to be there. You know, obviously safety and security is another thing that's always going to be a concern, but they had a really good, you know, you kind of had to identify who you were inviting and who was going to be your guest and that kind of thing. So we can make sure that you know, it was from other campuses or you know, it wasn't, you know, just random people, but yeah, it seemed to work out really great. And again, I think that the campuses are just going to have to decide for themselves whether that works out for them or not.
All right, looks like I'm next with the question. So what do you see as the largest issues that will impact the Tyler Independent School District students in the next 5 years? And what actions are the school board taking to address those?
So I can think of a couple things. One is the one thing that kind of seems to be the thing that we can't seem to solve, right? Public ed just in general has struggled with achievement gap. We tried in Tyler ISD. We've over the last 7 or 8 years, we've tried to fix some things that I wouldn't say that were broken, but certainly things that needed improvement, right? We had, you know, it wasn't very long ago, 7 or 8 years ago, that we had 11 schools on TEA's list of needing improvement, right? And so there was a lot of things that really needed to be fixed, you know, of doing things better and embracing some accountability and, you know, trying to understand how you know, how early literacy works and just all this stuff that, and we seem to have gotten a lot of that fixed, right? So, you know, so we've taken all those schools off. We had, you know, kind of one jump back on the last time we had accountability ratings, but we're doing a lot better. And so now we are at a point where we can focus on and really give some students, you know, particularly the demographics we continue to struggle with, you know, the resources and the help that they need. And so I'm looking forward to the next 5 years and seeing, you know, how much we can really impact that now that we have, you know, some of the bigger things that we needed to solve out of the way. The other thing is, which continues to be an ongoing issue, is, you know, the social and emotional, you know, kind of relating to mental health, but the social and emotional issues that we face as students, you know, with cameras being everywhere and social media being out there, and, you know, all the stuff that we didn't have to deal with when we were kids, that these kids are having to grow up and deal with and try and navigate and figure out. And, you know, a lot of times we don't know, you know, just as adults, we don't know what to do and what to tell them because, you know, we're figuring it out too. So, so that's going to be something that we continue to deal with. And, you know, we've started doing some stuff. We have additional counselors in schools, and, you know, next up, Community Solutions is one of our big partners, and they have, you know, social workers and counselors in our schools now too. But I think as a board, we'll just have to, you know, one of the things that we're responsible for is setting goals and setting priorities. And so that'll be something that we'll have to, you know, talk about and decide how much of a priority those things need to be. And, you know, whether that needs to be something that we, you know, set goals for, or, you know, we'll have to figure all that out. But certainly those two things are two of the next things that we'll have to, you know, address and figure out.
Does the COVID experience that we all had play into this, and some of the money maybe help in the getting counselors, making counselors?
Yeah,
available?
absolutely. So we have, yeah, a lot of the internal, like I said, Next Step is one of our partners, but a lot of the internal staff that we've hired, you know, most of the time school counselors are, you know, basically just there to kind of help people with their schedules and try and figure out how to get them graduated. So, so when you talk about really getting some, you know, some therapists in there that can work. That's the stuff I'm kind of talking about. And yeah, we've taken some of that money and we've put some of those people to work for sure. But you know, it's you know, how much of it is the cause too, right? I mean, there's COVID would cause some isolation issues, and you know, we're still fighting some of that too. We don't know what the long-term results of some of that stuff is going to be.
Right.
So yeah, we're working through a lot of that.
And I presume you haven't spent all the COVID money.
No.
Okay, I think I'm up for the next question. The school board positions are nonpartisan. And so what does that mean to you both in your role as a school board member and your role as a community leader?
Yeah, so one of the things I talk to people about when I talk about school board trustees is that we have to focus on our students, right? We have to focus on what's best for them. We have 18,000 students, and that's what we're striving for. And a lot of times the decisions that we have to make don't fit in, you know, blue box or a red box, right? And so you have to be willing to put all that aside and make some tough decisions sometimes. I will say though, I'm realistic, and I know that everyone knows, you know, what letters we have next to our names, because, you know, that's what division does to everyone, right? It creates this idea of, are they on my side or not? And so I totally understand that, but at the same time, you know, we as a board, I think, are committed to putting all that aside, especially when we're up at the dais and we're having to make decisions. I've never seen that be an issue. I've never seen that be a concern, at least here in Tyler. I feel like we all work together, and we work together very well, and we respect each other. Even when there's, you know, maybe disagreements or maybe people don't feel the same way, I think that there's mutual respect. I think as a community leader, I think would be my expectation as well. It's like, hey, I would expect you guys to put all that aside and do what's best for, you know, particularly as a parent, for my kid or my, you know, my friends' kids, or, you know, my family. But I think we do a really great job. I trust everyone that I've worked with. All of my colleagues that I've worked with on the board, I've never had any issues of trust or worried about, you know, political wins or anything like that. We've always tried to do, I think, what's best for every student.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Okay, it's my turn. This question is a two-part question.
Okay.
How have the STAR test disruptions in the last 2 years changed how the district evaluates teachers, and also how the board evaluates itself?
Yeah, so the STAR test, let's see, in 2020, the STAR test was not administered. That was the year everyone kind of got sent home. And then last year it was kind of deemed optional. You could take it, and then, you know, it wasn't really going to affect any accountability ratings, because they didn't, I don't think they released them. We decided in Tyler ISD to take the STAR last year, and mostly for us, it was about, you know, being worried about what sort of learning loss we had when everyone went home that spring. And so we wanted to figure out where we were at. We wanted to figure out how we were doing. The other thing is, we brought kids back to school in person pretty early for a district our size. And so we wanted to we wanted to, not necessarily pat ourselves on the back, but certainly wanted to see that, hey, we made a right decision with kids doing much better with in-person school. And so, so STAR is something that, regardless of how you feel, it's our accountability system that we have right now. And so, so we've tried to take it seriously, respect it, understand that there are some limitations that it has, but at the same time, it gives you a good idea of where you are and how you're doing with your students. So I would say that I'm not that particularly interested in, how teachers are evaluated when it comes to the STAR test. I know it's a portion of that evaluation. Obviously, I don't get down into the weeds with that stuff because certainly not nearly as worried about that as I am how the kids are doing. But and then as far as board evaluations, that's a little bit tricky. We do have a mechanism for board evaluation of ourselves. We did some governance work several years ago where we kind of evaluated all the, board procedures that we have, even looking at some ways to maybe restrict our influence on, the desire to, get involved in, the minutia of school district. So, we've tried to kind of evaluate how we do things, what we do, but when it comes to evaluating ourselves annually, we've done it in the past. It seemed to kind of have gotten suspended over the whole COVID stuff, just because there was so many more other things to worry about. I would imagine a board that's committed to, self-improvement and, some sort of performance improvement model. I could foresee it making a return at some point. But, trying to motivate, 7 elected people to evaluate themselves, that's, you gotta all be committed to saying, hey, we're going to accept our failures and we're going to try to get better every time. And so, it's not necessarily something people want to embrace. And so, I'd be up for it. I think some sort of formal way of doing it, routinely is probably a pretty good idea, but whether we're motivated to do that right now, I'm not sure.
I don't guess the state has anything that they require of school boards to complete or do.
No, we have, I will say that when you have schools on the improvement required list or on TEA's bad list, there are some things that they, want you to do and request of you, because we've had to do that before. And, but no, aside from kind of routine requirement of continuing education hours that we have to have every year,
Okay.
Not really.
Okay. Well, I didn't know about the continuing education. That's interesting. What kinds of classes are required under that?
So we have to have a legislative update after every session, just to kind of give us the new, laws impacting our schools. And I don't know how many hours of that it is, but that's always required. And then you have a first year trustee has a bunch of continuing education hours. You have to have local training with your local school district, and then you have to have training that gets sent to TEA. And then I know for veterans it's like 5 hours a year, and you can kind of pick and choose on things that you're interested in, and things that you may want to see your district do. A lot of times other districts will provide training on successes they've had. And so it's really great to see what people around the state are doing.
Interesting.
All righty. So last question from me, what kind of diversity equity and inclusion efforts are happening across the district?
So, when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, there's a couple of things that jump out at me at first, right? And one is obviously this facilities program that we've been working on. I think you can see that all throughout our city. Schools like Orr look exactly like Jack. So that's not, certainly when it comes to equity, it's something that at least I feel like we've been doing a really great job. In fact, if you look at the last round of accountability, which was kind of pre-COVID, we had schools like Bonner and Douglas that both received B ratings, just like Owens and Woods. So I think just from an equity standpoint, I think we're doing a really great job. Certainly there's things that we can be doing better, right? And so the things that jump out at me on those things are hiring Black and Latino teachers or administrators. We still struggle with that, and a lot of it is something that has struggled all over the state. We just have a hard time finding them. So we're working on that stuff. We know that continues to be an issue, and we're still working on achievement gaps, which everyone knows that affects it affects Black and Latino kids, but it's really socioeconomic, more than it is racial and ethnic. So we're doing things that we can. I know it's a focus, and it's something that we strive for all the time, every day. We are making headway. The struggle for me sometimes is, every year we get a whole new batch of kindergartners. And so the sense of, having to be in a hurry or rush is constant, because you're always getting a whole new batch of kids. And so yeah, we're trying really hard. But it certainly is a focus for sure.
Are our schools at capacity, or do we have lots of growth opportunity?
Yeah, so there's plenty of growth opportunity. I know as part of the bond projects that I've been involved in demographic data, with where people are living, where the city is growing, all that has been taken into account to build headroom when we have built facilities. I will say that the problems come in when you have campuses that maybe they're being perceived as doing better than others, and so you have transfer requests, and so you might run into capacity issues there where we're having to decide, is this transfer going to be approved or not, or is it considered full or not? But as a whole and in general, if you wanted to go to a particular campus, you probably could figure out a way to get to that campus. There's going to be room. So no, there's plenty of room. That's never been, at least in my experience, that's never been an issue we've faced.
Okay, well, you've managed to get through all of our questions, and we appreciate that. And we wonder if you have any final thoughts to share with people. We'll be posting this on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, one of the last things is, kind of getting back to, the mission and vision of the League of Women Voters is just, I talk to young people about this all the time, is I was, in 2015, my wife was PTA president, and we were volunteering at school, but I saw an opportunity to defeat an incumbent, and I took that opportunity, and my election was decided by 37 votes.
Wow.
And so I tell kids all the time, a classroom of kids can impact an election. And,
Right.
I appreciate all the work that you guys do, helping people understand that. And, we certainly, or at least I try to talk to young people about it all the time, because I know the impact that it makes, especially when you think of Tyler ISD I think it's the largest budget in Smith County. And so, you think of the impact that 7 trustees can have. And, if 37 people can decide that, that's kind of a big deal. So, appreciate all you guys do. You guys are doing great work. And I know y'all were involved in the redistricting process too. And so appreciate you guys, everything that y'all do.
Well, thank you for those comments. That is one of the really most difficult things that we face, is making people understand that their vote can really count, make a difference in their community. And, when you talk about presidential elections, lots of people think, well, yeah, I'll vote for that. It's, but when it comes down to the local, where people are impacted more, they kind of shy away from that.
Right.
So, well, thank you so much for all of your conversation. It was really, I found really interesting. And do any of you others have anything final words?
Just piggyback off you, Marilyn. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule.
Of course.
We really
Good to
appreciate
see you again.
Yeah, Dee, appreciate it.
Yes,
All
enjoyed
right.
it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
We'll
right.
send you
Have
a
a
link.
great evening.
Great. Looking forward to seeing it.